Hi, everybody. This is Tom. Welcome back to Critical Mass. We're good. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Critical Mass. This is take 12. We're trying this opening so many times. And today we're talking about, speaking of trying it over and over again, remakes. And we have one of our favorite classics, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Total Recall. And then we have Colin Farrell and his Total Recall. One put a lot more money into it. One was pretty campy at the time, but which one was better? Well, we'll tell you right after this, at least what we think. All right, guys. Well, obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger's Total Recall was the one that I grew up with. We were all adults when Colin Farrell's movie came out. What do you guys think about either one?
Go ahead, Mark.
Well, obviously, everybody knows Arnold Schwarzenegger's Total Recall, kind of a classic. Even has a bit of I would say, a cult following. You can mention Total Recall, and the first one that comes to mind is not the remake. Why is your...
There it is. Squirrel.
That's better. The remake is not the top of mind Total Recall that you think about when somebody brings it up. I will say that there were a couple of really good nods to the original, but I would say that the original Total Recall is still my favorite.
When I watched it again just for this video, I didn't remember, I remember really liking it, but I didn't remember how much fun it was. Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay, yeah, I like him in a lot of his action movies, but this one was just fun, and it was campy. They're not even taking themselves seriously. He goes through his whole spiel, and they're throwing everything in there. There's something strange, there's something strange, there's something strange, and it all comes together at the end, and you say, wow, that was a fun movie, and I don't remember the last time I had actual fun watching a movie. Yeah, I've enjoyed movies, but this was a good time.
What I liked about the first one with Arnold Schwarzenegger is, and don't forget, it also had Sharon Stone in it before Sharon Stone was a household name, before she made her mark in the movies. And even her role in this film was done well. You know, you thought she was the loving wife, but there was something off about what her words are and how she kept trying to change the subject and stuff like this. Very nice. The whole plot line about atmosphere on Mars, and he wants to go to Mars. Something's going on Mars, and the news stories are always about Mars, someplace else. And there's like a rebellion going on a distant world, and then they go to the dream world and get the inserting the memory. It just seemed right. As campy as it is, the spy thing kind of works in that situation when you're talking about already a fantasy world of heading to a different planet. So yeah, everything on there, as campy as it was, they had taxis driving around. It's just not an automated car. No, they have to have this robotic head who's, hi, I'm Mr. Taxi, and he's talking to you. I don't want taxi drivers to talk to me now. What do I want a robot one to talk to me in the future for? So yeah, I just fell into it. And then you have Ironside is a great villain character. And those one-liners. Welcome to the party, Richter. Everyone remembers the campiness of the corny lines and the comebacks. And it still works today. I can watch that movie today and still enjoy myself. Years and years and years and years later.
What I liked about the Michael Ironside character is that he wasn't like a bad guy. He was just a regular henchman, but he wasn't evil for the purpose of being evil. Kind of like Tommy Lee Jones in The Fugitive. Yeah, he was the antagonist. He was the guy trying to get the hero, but he wasn't a bad guy. In this one, Michael Ironside was still kind of cool. I liked watching him, even though he was the antagonist.
He wasn't evil for the sake of being an evil guy. Like most villains nowadays, hey, what is the evil guy's main characteristics? Well, he's evil. Oh, okay, thanks. He liked Sharon Stone's character. It was his girlfriend that they set up with Arnold Schwarzenegger. So there's animosity there. He doesn't like this going on. I don't like Arnold Schwarzenegger pretending my girlfriend is his wife. Yes, I can understand him not liking him too much. Even though, as it turns out, they were friends supposedly in the future, according to the plot line, right? So yeah, there's so many little twists and turns in this movie. To this day, people are still going, oh, it was a memory. He just he just went there, and they're, no, it was real. And then, no, don't you remember at the beginning when he's phasing, he's dreaming off in the La La Land, and he sees the picture, and they're creating the girl for him? It's the girl that he ends up meeting, and he goes, no, but that's part of it. And to this day, no one can make up their mind whether it was a dream or whether it was real, and that's a really good quality writing, even for a movie.
So what do you think? So what do you think? Do you think it was a dream, or do you think it was real?
Oh, I absolutely think it was a dream.
What do you think?
Now, they were kind of crystal clear in the remake, though, about what was actually happening, and they made it quite predictable, and I think they did that on purpose.
Well, let's talk about the remake. What did you guys think of the remake?
Well, like I said, I like that they brought back a couple of nods to the original. One of them actually being when they were discussing maybe him trying out recall and getting the procedure done. When they were on the train through the center of the earth, one of the guys says, "Oh, don't do that. Don't you know some guy from sector or whatever scrambled his brain, thought he was the king of Mars?" That was another nod to the original.
Yeah, and they had the escort lady, the prostitute in the market there. They had her, and they had going through the airport customs or whatever customs thing it was. They had the disguise lady, and they had a little switch it up there where it wasn't actually him in that disguise, but behind her he was in a different disguise. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, but those again are links to the original that we love so much. What about this one? Did anything stand out in this one?
Now, most people who have seen Total Recall and like the original Total Recall are going to right away say, the new Total Recall was crap, because they're not distinguishing between disappointment in it not being closer to the original. They're not distinguishing between that and whether it was a good movie or not. And I honestly believe that if this was not called Total Recall, it was a great movie. It was a really good science fiction movie. Unfortunately, they made it a sequel to Total Recall, and it didn't have the same spirit.
What do you think, Mark?
Well, I think they didn't make a sequel to Total Recall. They did a reboot, and I think that was their big mistake. I think maybe a sequel where it maybe took place on Mars, maybe added a few more elements that were familiar, could have worked out for them. Unfortunately, they made it a reboot, and they didn't really have any of the aspects that we expected from the original, other than a couple of nods to the original to say, hey, we're the same movie. I felt the secret to watching this, every time I've watched the reboot, I've always watched the original first. This time around, I didn't watch the original first. I watched the reboot first, and I enjoyed it a little more, without having all the preconceived ideas from the original clouding my expectations.
Okay. Well, when I look at it, I saw, a movie that put lots of time into its special effects, and it has a very quality cast. There was nothing wrong with the cast of the movie. Jessica Biel, and it's not Kate Winslet, who is it?
Beckinsale.
Kate Beckinsale, from Underworld fame. Very competent actresses and everything, but because they switched it up, because they now were on Earth, and they tried to introduce this whole invasion with robot armies against the colonies. Yet we didn't really know what the argument with the colonies was. And
well, they're poor.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that didn't stop the other guys from making all the money and owning all the property and everything. So, like, where's the antagonism there, and what's the big deal kind of thing? And there were some scenes in there, like, for instance, when his best friend, which I didn't think was as done as well, the best friend turning on him situation, when he comes to the building and he shows up and he says, hey, stop. And outside is all the cops, and there's Kate Beckinsale pretending to be the wife outside, and she's all worried about him. And that whole scene there, compared to the scene with Sharon Stone and the doctor, it just didn't seem as monumental to me. Like I wasn't looking at that going, ooh, is this the turning point and everything? And then the sweat coming down the doctor's thing, and that tips him off, and he shoots the doctor, supposedly. And in this one, the girl is holding, she thinks that the girl, his new girlfriend that just shows up and is a history with, she's supposedly a spy and a fighter, a rebel fighter, and she's just letting this guy talk and try and convince him that he's not real, instead of just taking a gun and shooting him in the head. She's holding a gun to his head and doesn't do nothing. So it doesn't, like, no one would do that. No, she's there going, oh, he's talking him out of it. Oh, he's talking him out. Come on. She would shoot him in the head, and it would be over at that point.
I didn't like how they split the or they combined the Michael Ironside Sharon Stone character into the one character.
Yeah.
To take reconcile. I didn't like that part.
Yeah. And she became like a robot. Like suddenly she was the strongest martial arts fighter in the world, and she was evil in this. She actually, her character was, I'm going to kill him no matter what my bosses say and all that. She didn't really have a reason to do it other than she wanted to.
No, she just seemed like that T2 villain that just kept on coming.
Yeah, yeah. And for no real reason. That's what I didn't like about it. It just seemed like a lot of modern films that does remakes on the old things. They take away the heart of what made the movie and just do the visual effects and the basic plot and try and put their own spin on it. And it just, as far as if I never saw the first one and I saw this one, I would come out saying, well, that was an okay movie. But never in my life would I be thinking that remake, even if there was no first Arnold Schwarzenegger film, would I come out saying, ooh, I wonder if that was real. I wonder if that was fake. I wouldn't be thinking of it 20, 30 years from now. It would have long forgotten my memory.
One of the things that I found a little bit difficult to watch is how closely the two leading females resembled each other in the reboot.
Yes.
Like, both very, very, very pretty, long, dark hair. You can't distinguish the two, really.
No, in fact, when at the beginning they have that dream sequence where she falls down this, I don't know what it is, an elevator shaft or something like that. Then he wakes up and he's with the girl. I thought it was the same girl.
Yeah.
You guys don't know your starlets well enough.
but you shouldn't have to know them that well.
Yeah.
You know every detail of their face in order to know who the character is.
No. And that was one of the good things about you had Ironside and you had Sharon Stone, two different characters. And then you had the other girl, and I don't even remember her name. And that's a shame that no one knows the name of the first original wife in Arnold Schwarzenegger's film, because it stands out that it's him, Sharon Stone, and Michael Ironside is the big ones, right? So, but they were distinguished characters that looked completely different. And that bugs me in a lot of movies. One of the best movies a few years ago was nominated for all the movies was that Dunkirk movie. And I could not tell four of the guys from each other. I didn't know who I was watching at any one point in that movie. They all wore the same uniform. They all had the same facial hair. They all had the same dark hair. They're all young, thin, and skinny. I did not who Michael J. I don't know. I know who they were.
Well, you don't know your male sex symbols well enough.
That's true. That's true. But it bugs me that that you should know characters. And so if I come away from a movie and I guess that character was supposed to be this, but I got them confused with somebody else, that's bad writing.
I thought it was great. Like the remake didn't have an alien guy with a face in his stomach that was a fortune teller, but I did like the concept of a trans-Earth elevator. It was very well filmed. I liked Colin Farrell in it and the rest of the actors. I thought it kept me entertained throughout the whole movie. It just wasn't Total Recall.
It didn't have that epic appeal.
No.
All right. Well, then tell us which one, if you were to tell our audience what to watch during the isolation period here, which one should you watch?
I'd say watch either of them. Both of them are good. But if you haven't seen the original Total Recall, you have to watch the original Total Recall.
Okay, Mark?
I say watch both. You got time.
Attaboy. Nothing like having a firm opinion. I'm saying if you're only going to watch one, watch the original. And then check out the sequel, see if you like it. It's not a bad film. It's just not a memorable, epic film. And I'd say the first one is absolutely one of those all-time classics. Well, hope you liked the video. Why not check out some of our other content down here below and some of our other videos. Leave a comment on what other movies and sequels that you guys would like us to review and give our opinion on it, as much as it doesn't really matter what we think. So let us know down below, and until next time, we'll see you on the channel.